The following podcast contains strong language and frank discussions of violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey, well, it's another week and we're still here. What's up, everybody? It's Joanne and Mike on Murder Amongst Friends, and we are, yet again, in my living room.
Back to home base.
Back to black.
As in AC/DC, Amy Winehouse.
I mean, just mash those. What a fucking mashup that would be. Hey, Nick.
AC Winehouse.
Nick, I'm looking at you, buddy, and my son-in-law, who's in a amazing band, local band, The Mighty Fall, just released a single. I Am Providence, kicking ass all over Apple and Spotify, like just killing it. Hey, Nicholas, if you ever wanted to do something for your sweet, sweet mother-in-law, just mash up AC/DC and little Amy Winehouse for me, and then, you know, we'll finally accept you into the family as one of our... I'm just kidding. I love you, Nick.
Amy
but
DC.
Yes, actually mash that up for me.
Amy DC.
Yeah.
Perfect. Works.
100%. Mike.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Motorcycle.
Don't say Mike too many times in a row. You have to pay Geico money.
Oh, yeah. Mike. Have you heard of this lying ass MFer by the name of Chuck Lee Tex? That's his nickname. You know, obviously. McIver.
Tex McIver.
Not MacGyver. Not like foil and gum, you know, like we're MacGyvering. Right. Yeah. McIver.
Right.
The third. A couple of years back in 2018, he shot his wife.
Oh.
So here's the story.
What a pastime.
Him and his wife, who supposedly had a very loving relationship, went to this party. They live in Atlanta.
Yeah.
His wife was in the passenger seat. Her friend was driving, and he's behind his wife. They're driving through a quote-unquote lesser neighborhood, and this POS says, I need my gun out of the glove box because we're driving by a Black Lives Matter protest and there's a lot of black homeless people. I don't feel safe. First of all, fuck off with that.
Yep.
Second, they pass him the gun. Okay, he supposedly, I'm doing my famous air quotes here, falls asleep with a gun in his lap. Okay, now I'm not a big gun person, but I know if you don't cock a gun, it takes a lot more pounds per pressure to pull that trigger. Okay,
right.
Falls asleep with a gun in his lap. Supposedly wakes up all of the sudden, Michael. They go over a bump. He wakes up. Ooh! Accidentally shoots his wife through the seat.
What?
And kills her.
What terrible
she
luck.
Doesn't. Bad luck for Tex MacGyver. She doesn't die right away.
Well, spoiler alert then.
Diane, they take her so they immediately go to the hospital, right? She's in there. The husband is like not acting frantic or sad like you would if you just supposedly accidentally shot your wife, right?
A real Chris Watts performance going on.
Right. The doctors and nurses, when she's in her room, they say, do you want your husband, do you want to see your husband? She says no.
Not a great sign for him.
No.
Yeah.
Right? The friend says, oh, no, it was an accident. He's saying it was an accident, la, la, la. Well, once she leaves the hospital, the friend, she changes her story. She goes, no, this was not an accident. Because she's afraid of the husband. Well, she had a right to be afraid because when she got home, the husband called her husband, obviously they're friends, and said, listen, your wife's going to put me in jail forever for murder. You got to talk to her and get her to flip the script, Michael. Flip the script, right? Just flip that script. And so that's clearly witness tampering.
Yes.
Anyway, he gets convicted of murder and witness tampering and felony, having a gun in the commission of a felony. Okay. Yep. He's been in jail a couple few years, whatever. Now all of a sudden, they've overturned his conviction because they said that the jury should have been able to charge him on a lesser charge of involuntary manslaughter, which I think is such horseshit. He still has to uphold his conviction for influencing a witness because, I mean, there's no way to get out of that one, right? And now we just have to wait and see if they're going to, like, recharge him or what. But this is, like, the biggest load of horseshit I've ever heard in my life. Well, like, first of all, so you fell asleep. So, okay, Anybody who, and this guy apparently had like 40 guns, so he must know about gun safety and all this other stuff to be able to have all these guns, right?
Well, at least he's supposed
or
to.
you're supposed to, right? So you never cock a gun. You never have your finger on the trigger. If you have your finger on the trigger of a gun, you better be intending to shoot.
Yeah.
You don't just sit with a cocked gun with your finger on the trigger, because, God forbid, something happens. You could accidentally shoot someone or yourself.
Yeah.
So and then let's blame it on the homeless people. They don't have any possessions to harm you with, sir. By definition, they don't even have a place to live. What do they have on them that they're gonna? You feel threatened. You feel threatened.
3 winter coats, like that's the vast majority.
You feel threatened,
Yeah.
so you pull out a gun because there's black people. Oh, Jesus Christ! I mean, let's blame it on the black people again, like always. This is some bullshit.
Does it matter if they weren't instructed on a lesser charge, if they weren't going to convict him on a lesser charge?
I don't know. I don't know why this is even a thing. Like, this whole story sounds like, oh, by the way, after she died,
Yeah.
he started selling all her shit.
Oh, yes.
So he was a lawyer, and he was clearly living above his means. He talked her into buying like this whole ass farm and shit. Like, she was like more the breadwinner.
Yeah.
They put him off counsel, which means like it could be like the law is of Mike, and Mike, and you, Mike, number one, are not bringing in your share, so you get bumped. So now you're doing shit work. You're doing what everybody else in the office doesn't want to do because you're not bringing in the money.
Got to get them billables in.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he starts selling off all her expensive handbags, all her jewelry,
Well, what does
her
she need them for now?
clothing. I mean, yes, but holy shit! Like, she's not even. Her body's not even cold. Not even not to be.
Yeah.
That way about it and make light of it, but like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, so
He certainly made light of it.
he certainly did, and did not act like somebody who just lost a wife. Now, I know everybody grieves differently, Michael, but this dude was acting cool as a cucumber from the time it happened
Yeah.
to, like, do you know what I mean? There's just something not, if you accidentally shot your wife, who supposedly, they call each other darling all the time, they never argue, all blah, blah,
in front of people.
Who the fuck knows what happens behind closed doors?
Exactly.
And you accidentally, okay, so let's say they did have that kind of relationship. Oh, honey, baby, darling, I love you. Oh, the light of my life, right? The apple of my eye, the peanut butter to my jelly.
The stuff that makes you sick.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And you see people like, oh, you're like, good for them, I guess. But you accidentally, your racist ass accidentally shoots her, right? Would you not be at least,
Yeah.
if not distraught, slightly concerned, Michael? Like, just a bit concerned?
So, this doesn't look great for me. And I'm going to miss that lady.
Little concernicus, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Just a bit of emotion. But no, this guy was like apparently cold as ice, and then called his friend to try to get his friend to have his wife change her story. In my book, this guy's guilty AF, and he should have remained with that charge.
Yeah. Hopefully he gets recharged, because I don't think it was dismissed without prejudice, which would mean he couldn't be
Right.
tried again as if it was like a wrongful conviction. This was just technicality.
I mean, just leave him in there, man. He's obviously a weird, bad dude.
Yeah. It's we have these stories that it's weird, because in kind of the main story that we usually tell week to week, we need the police to come in and like stop the guy that we're talking about.
Right.
But then in some of the smaller stories we tell week to week, or just, the random conversations that we have not even on mic, it's always like, the judge fucked up, or these lawyers were terrible, or the cops bungled it, or it's like, so it's this weird, you need them, but the apparatus is just really, it's really rusty.
It's broken.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's rusty. I think it's
it ain't doing
broken.
its job. Yeah. It's not where it should be. So as we're fond of saying on this show, just do better. Just do better.
At the very least.
Yeah. Well, this week I have a story you're not going to be particularly fond of.
You say that like it's a unique situation.
Yeah. No, but this one especially.
Oh God. Let me sit back.
Yeah.
In case I start yelling.
No, it's not anything the details of the story are kind of what they are, but it's the perpetrators and the victims of the story that you're going to have a problem with, because I'm going to have to say certain things.
Oh, God, okay.
And you're not going to like the way I say these things.
Okay.
This is the story of the Italian Banditti murders.
You little shit. Okay. Hey, watch the lingo, kid. Watch the lingo. Michael, speaking of the quote-unquote mafia, we would be remiss to not say that this past week, not only did James Caan, Sonny Corleone of The Godfather, pass away, Tony Sirico, Uncle Polly Walnuts.
All the heavy hitters are going
down. What the hell's going on?
That's almost like a conspiracy.
It's almost like a conspiracy, Michael. What is with all these Italian folks dying?
Someone protect Pacino quick.
So, where's De Niro? Where's De Niro? Somebody gets a De Niro quick. Stat. Like, I'm so sad about it.
It's a lot of errors are ending.
Oh man.
It's not a great.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
Of course, some people say James Caan of Misery. I'm looking at you.
Yeah. Some people.
GRD.
Yeah. You know who you are.
You know who you are, Gerd. But yeah, no, he's always going to be Sonny Corleone in my heart.
Not the secondary lead in the show Las Vegas.
No. No. And my mom brought up, she was like, oh, James Caan died. And I was like, I know. She's like, I like his son too. And I was like, Scott Caan, he's the worst.
No.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no.
Scott Caan. Please don't have me whacked. But not the more talented of the two Caans.
No. Yeah, I'll take Las Vegas over Hawaii 5-0 any
Also,
day.
not Italian, James Caan.
No, yeah.
Weird.
He did really beat that guy up, though.
He really did beat that guy up in The Godfather. Yeah. When we were watching The Offer, hey, if you haven't seen the show The Offer on Paramount Plus, it's a series based on how the movie The Godfather got made. And let me tell you something. Mm-hmm. It's a miracle that movie the script ever got off the ground, Michael. Yeah. There was so many obstacles.
I don't know how accurate it is. I don't care how accurate it is.
It's from
Ruddy's perspective.
Your boy Al Ruddy's perspective.
Don't call him my boy just because
he's a Jew.
Because he's chosen.
You guys are paisan.
Yeah, just because he's chosen.
Well.
I don't know how accurate it is, but I don't care how accurate it is because it was
series.
Entertaining as all hell.
Oh my God, we literally were so obsessed with it.
Yeah. And the fact that it was a weekly release really...
Oh, went right up my ass because we watched the first... Did they drop the first three?
Yeah. And then it was weekly for the other 7 or 8, however many.
And then, of course, it's that actor who plays Bob Evans. Who I am so enamored with his portrayal of Bob Evans.
Yeah. I mean, it's something to see because if you've seen Matthew Good in anything else and then see him play...
I don't know that I've seen him in anything else. I'll just keep watching him like in that. He's just me and my Bob Evans. I'm just gonna have a quaalude. He's all the best one, and we're gonna have a good time. And that was Michael. What's his name? Matthew Good.
Yeah.
As Bob Evans' impression. You're welcome, guys.
And when you see the show, you will realize how good that impression actually is.
He's so cute. And of course, Miles Teller. Alrighty. Get over here and sit on Mommy's lap. Let
me tell you something.
I'll tell you a little something about Miles Teller. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I still prefer the Whiplash / Spectacular Now Miles Teller, but that's, I like him for different reasons.
Don't rain on my parade.
Let's just say. But, yeah, protect all of your...
Let's protect all of our Italian icons.
All of your Italian icons,
costs.
Yeah.
Somebody do the rosary. Somebody say a prayer to St. Anthony. Somebody light a candle. Make sure you have the Virgin Mary statue outside your house. And we'll be fine, Yeah. My grandmother, my nanny, had a fucking... Oh, my God. Over her bed, Michael, was... It might have, don't quote me on this, it might have been carved out of ivory or something. I don't even know.
I'm going to ask your sister the veracity of this claim.
Rosary that, you've seen a rosary beads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
For anyone who doesn't know what a rosary looks like, it's basically a prayer tool.
Yep.
Where you start on one end. There's like one big bead and 5 little beads, then one big bead, 5 little beads. That goes around 10 times. Then you've got the beads that hang down and then the cross. So basically what you're supposed to do is like, you basically say the Our Father for every big bead, the Hail Mary 5 times, Our Father, da-da-da. You go all the way around. It's the act of contrition. And then you, okay? It's a long ass.
I'm understanding this a lot better
Okay.
now.
It's a
I never
long
understood
ass
what counting
procedure.
had to do with it. Okay.
Yeah, it's just, okay.
All right.
And so she had this massive, I mean, every one of the Our Father beads had to be the size of like, I'm holding up my hand. What do you...
I mean, that's like a...
bigger than a
clementine.
Like a clementine.
Yeah.
Huge. And then like kind of
walnut.
Ping pong balls, like walnuts all in between. And then this fucking... And then you've got like the medallion that connects it all.
Right.
And then you've got a couple more beads. And then the medallion had to be as big as my face. Right? And then you had this big ass cross. This shit was heavy as fuck. Well, it was hung up on like nail. So you could have it almost like a circle with like hung up at the over her bed. If that thing, God forbid that thing ever fell and hit her in the head.
God. One thing I know about Jesus is he really loves spectacle.
We would have all been praying. She would have killed by the rosary. I mean, we're all at the funeral doing the rosary. I mean, talk about irony.
What do you do?
But yeah, holy hell on earth.
Crazy stuff, but yeah.
Please protect our Italian icons.
Someone locate De Niro and Pacino. Especially if we want Heat 2 to get made.
Just get out there, you know? Where's Pesci? The fuck is Pesci at?
He's retired. Although he came out of retirement, didn't he? I thought he came out of retirement. He came out of retirement for The Irishman, I think.
Oh, that's right. Which is a great movie, by the way. I talked to someone who said they did not like it, and I was like, what?
That person is incorrect.
And that person is dumb. But yeah, so sorry about that little side note. I just dropped that in there.
Yeah, well, it's sad to remark upon. As culture, as kind of older souls, let's say. We're not old, but older souls, our culture is disappearing.
It's disappearing, man.
All of our touchstones.
I mean, technically, you're an elder millennial, so you're not in my group, which is the best group of all time, Gen X. Yeah. Gen X.
I have Gen X envy, I guess.
Everybody has Gen X envy, honey. They just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
So, sucks to suck, I guess, rest of you.
This is... Anybody who knows me and is of my age bracket knows this is not the generation for me.
Definitely not.
And I'm sure anybody who's just listening can tell that I have more curmudgeon in me than most millennials would.
Michael probably should have been tooling around maybe the 1600s.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Just real upset at wheat production.
Just
and
angry.
Yeah.
Standing outside with your hands on your back, like, would you look at that?
Yeah.
You know, shaking your fist at the little, who put this silo here? Like, just bitching about anything.
Yep.
And everything.
Yep. But at least my current age back then would be elderly.
Yeah.
Like end
Yeah,
of,
yeah, like I'm in my 30s. Oh God.
Yeah.
Get the plot ready because he's about to kick it. Can I kick it?
Yes,
you can. But yeah, so anyway, back to the story.
Yeah. Travel with me, if you will, to Denver, Colorado, October 1875.
Oh my God, 100 years before I was even born, Michael.
Yes.
Almost to the day.
Yeah. Well, about a month. On the 20th day of the month, police were called to a neighborhood.
On this day of your daughter's wedding.
Godfather.
Sorry, their first child.
Was that racist? Because it's the Italian Banditti murders?
Child. Because you said the Godfather?
Because I said it.
Well, I'm looking.
You can say it.
I know I can say it. Yeah, well, I'm eyeballing you. Don't worry.
Yeah, okay. On the 20th day of the month, police were called to a neighborhood to investigate a horrible stench that people living in the area could no longer stand.
If you say they got there and it was a block of scamorza, I'm going to be very upset. These racist pieces of shit.
The 2 officers who went to investigate assumed they would find an animal carcass left to rot somewhere. That's not what they found.
Instead, they found a massive block of shot provolone. Just stinking the place up.
I'm making a sauce.
I'm making a gravy.
The 2 men were drawn to one house in particular. a small frame cottage on Lawrence Street where flies were gathering on the windows.
Oh no, Michael, no,
Yeah.
not the flies.
I
You
knew
know,
you
I
weren't
hate
gonna like that.
flies. Oh God.
As soon as they walked in, the officers saw blood on the floor. They followed the trail and discovered a trapdoor in the kitchen. But
Listen, they could have just been killing a lamb for Easter. Well, no, it's not even it's fall, but like maybe they're killing chickens or rabbits.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
back in the day,
1875.
Michael,
Yeah.
before you were born. When I was born,
In
you could go to Federal Hill
Yeah.
in Providence.
Yeah, yeah.
And literally go to like a butcher where there was a little gate. I remember this. They had chickens, rabbits, goats. You could just go and pick one out for like, let's say Easter or something. They would go in the back and you'd walk home with like literally a fresh kill, I guess, to cook.
Doesn't get any fresher than that.
And that's only, we're talking not even, maybe 40 years ago. That's not that long when you think about it. Back when the fruit and veg trucks still drove around the streets.
And that's, I mean, not that Providence is considered a quote unquote major city, but it's not also just a small town in the middle of
But
the
I
Midwest.
remember those little horse and buggy carriages literally coming through the streets. I sound 150 right now. But they would park somewhere on like a main drag, and you would just go and buy all your fresh fruit, and you never had fruit and vegetables so fresh in your life. Now forget it. Everything's injected with God knows what, which is why everybody has these crazy new allergies that didn't exist before, because we've created them for ourselves.
Sure have.
Let's cut the shit and get back to it.
Soapbox. We don't have to go
I'm
down
going to step
that
down.
Yeah. So they followed the trail of blood and discovered a trapdoor in the kitchen, but the closer they got to it, the worse the smell became, to the point where they could no longer stand to be in the house.
Was the telltale heart under there, or?
One of the men came back to the address with deodorizing materials.
What? Wait. Like ban? Secret? Like what?
Whatever the
what's going to take that
1875
smell out?
equivalent was.
Febreze?
It's probably whatever they were using, because you know how they would
You think it's like...
They would have flowers and like perfumes and stuff for people, like when the plague was happening, obviously several hundred years before this, but they would have certain like flowers and scents and oils and stuff that they would like shove under their nose to be able to deal with the stench.
Okay.
Rather than fix the problem, let's just cover up the smell.
Let's put a little Vicks.
Yeah,
a little Vicks on your face. You'll be fine.
So he comes back with these deodorizing materials and makes his way back into the trapdoor.
Brave.
After shining light into the basement area, he immediately saw the legs of two corpses sticking out from under a trash pile. Because it was 1875, and I guess this is what you did, he told the mayor.
You just ring up the mayor.
Yeah.
Oh, is there... When was it? I swear to God, don't come at me, but when was the phone invented? I'm stupid. When was the phone invented?
I'm not 100% sure, so I'm just going to pass it by so I can maintain my superior intellect.
But okay, so like ring ring, tin can on a string, or the phone.
Yeah,
Hey, mayor.
Homing pigeon.
You just get in touch with the mayor.
Yeah.
Imagine just calling the mayor of your town today. Just, hey,
we
mayor.
got a body.
Hey, mayor, I found these two sets of legs. I just want to let you know about. Why the mayor? Why not the constable or like whatever the chief of law enforcement was called in 1875?
Because it was Denver, so it's not like they had a small little local jurisdiction or anything.
I mean, it's a pretty big area.
Even in 1875. But he also alerted the coroner to the bodies.
Okay, but...
Yeah.
But is a coroner technically law enforcement or more medical?
No, medical.
Yeah, kind of...
so
do they toe the line?
I watched a thing, and I now forget the difference, but there is a difference between a coroner and a medical examiner. One of them requires a certain amount of training. The other is an elected position.
One requires like a medical...
I think coroner is an elected position where you don't need certain certifications.
And the medical examiner needs to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's a comptroller?
I do not know, and I refuse to find out. The coroner had to find a team of men who would consent to bring the bodies out of the basement.
Yeah.
Well, let's first...
They'd be like, hey, do you want to go down there and drag these fly bodies out?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, no, I don't.
Yeah,
no, thank you.
I was going to say, let's contemplate who those people are that are volunteering to... I don't know what they're paying them. It's got to be a decent amount, I would imagine.
Side note, I just looked up comptroller.
Don't tell me, because I'm not paying attention.
Managing an institution's financial reporting and accounting, usually employed by a public agency. They assure the security and proper use of funds. So they keep everybody telling the truth, I guess. They keep everybody honest, but do they? Who knows?
I've already forgotten. When the team started to dig out the trash, they found 2 additional bodies.
Oh.
They also found 5 small knives, 3 razors, and a hatchet.
Oh.
It's also worth mentioning that all of the weapons were stained in blood, but that was probably
well,
obvious.
I mean, yeah.
The discovery was sensational.
Speaking of discoveries of, quote, mob, which doesn't exist, related bodies.
Yeah.
Didn't you tell me recently about
did.
a lake that was drying up and
Yes.
all of these bodies are appearing?
Yes, because of climate change, global warming, and massive droughts in the West, especially the desert areas. And before you say, well, deserts are dry, shut up. Lake Mead has been drying up and the waters are receding because there's not as much water in the area. And this has caused many bodies to become revealed. Because the area it's in,
people are assuming.
Most likely.
People.
Yeah.
Most likely?
People are assuming that most likely.
Okay. That it's a La Cosa Nostra.
Yeah. So,
which I find racist. But
wait until you hear about some of the things that they're going to talk about in this story. So the discovery of 4 bodies was sensational. So sensational, in fact, that even newspapers in Chicago and New York were writing about it. An article published in the Chicago Tribune 6 days after the bodies were found described them as, quote, swollen almost to bursting.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And this is sure to be your favorite part.
No. Michael, I swear if you say the M word.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't say it.
Oh, covered in them?
Crawling with.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I'm
going to throw up.
Yeah, we're skipping that. Everybody else should.
Skip that.
Yeah, everybody else should know what that is
Oh,
by
God.
the description. The bodies were also destroyed. Their throats were cut from ear to ear, and they were all covered in stab wounds in the chest, gut, shoulders, and faces. The
Maneggia la miseria.
The disfigurement, coupled with the horrible state of decomposition, led the cops to believe that it would be difficult to get a positive ID on who the victims were.
Yeah.
However, several neighbors were able to identify them based on the clothing they were all wearing.
Can you imagine? Well, I would be able to identify you by your clothing for sure. Your T-shirts and things are very specific.
Yeah.
So
Yes. The victims were Giuseppe Uncle Joe Pecora.
Hey, I have a couple Uncle Joes. Believe it or not.
Who would have
Hey,
guessed?
Giuseppe.
His 2 sons and one of their younger cousins.
Mm-hmm.
They all worked as musicians and had lived in the house where they were found. The sheriff, fella by the name of David J. Cook,
So definitely not a down.
assumed that robbery was most likely the reason these men became victims. While questioning the neighbors for more information, John Morris, a cobbler who lived in the neighborhood, was able to identify Uncle Joe by the shoes he was wearing.
The cobbler came in. He went, hold on. This is my work.
Shoes. I know the shoes.
What did you just say, first of all?
I know the shoes.
How did you just say that with an accent?
I know the shoes. His name is John Morris.
Yeah, but did you say I know of the shoes? Because I feel like you did that.
I think that's what you heard.
His last name is Morris. He's not saying I know of the shoes. I see of my work. I'm extremely proud. I come into this country supporting my family. Like, what is this?
I do it a plumbing.
Get out of here, Mario. Hey, Mario and Wario.
He told the cops, so John Morris told the cops that at one point Uncle Joe was a known associate of 2 other men named Filomeno Galati and Michel Balati.
Uncle Philly.
Yeah. The sheriff found that Galati and Balati were members of the Italian Banditti gang, sometimes known as the Italian Butchers.
Yeah.
Several of the Banditti members hadn't been seen anywhere in Denver for about a week, coincidentally around the amount of time since Uncle Joe and the family were killed.
They're hanging out with the Fratelli brothers.
Cook did some digging into the Bandittis and discovered that 3 members boarded a train to Littleton a few days before the bodies were found. The sheriff guessed they were fleeing to Mexico, and he sent 2 officers, Frank Smith and a guy named R.Y. Force, to track them down.
I don't like when people use initials for their name.
I should say that Frank Smith is known as W. Frank Smith.
No,
I dropped the W. But I don't know what the initials.
Mike CH.
Yeah.
You know,
that's fine.
Yeah, come on. Mick.
The victims and suspected perpetrators, being Italian, set a spark to an already tense ethnic atmosphere in the Denver area. A frenzied mob burned down the house on Lawrence Street where the bodies were discovered for no reason other than the police hadn't yet caught the killers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind
That's
of like...
one way to do it, I guess.
It's like burning down Breeze Knoll, I guess.
Burning down the house.
Local papers use terms like, quote, "This is the papers,
Michael,
not me.
Tread lightly.
Butchers." Quote,
butchers, bakers.
Italian,
yes, a lot of Italian people run butcher shops, and you go in and get the sopressata and the prosciutto, and
great bakeries.
You can go in there and get the cannoli, get the struffoli, get the sfidel.
So butcher's not so bad. Italian gorillas.
Gorilla, Guerilla.
No.
Gorilla, Michael.
Yeah. And, quote, snarling mongrels.
Oh, you.
Local papers.
Okay.
Not me.
I'm okay.
This shows, obviously, that absolutely nothing has changed other than which group is being marginalized at any given time.
Yeah. Okay.
While on the trail, Smith and Force arrived in Trinidad, Colorado. Yes, I initially thought it was the island also.
Trinidad, Colorado.
Yeah. They found out that 3 men arrived in town one day after the slayings of the Pecoras. The cops quickly tracked the 3 men in question to an Italian-owned bar.
Listen,
because,
this is horseshit.
Michele Bellotti was one of the men in the saloon, but Smith and Force also found Silvestro Campagna and Leonard Alessandri. All 3 were
Leonardo,
brought... There's no O.
Well, he probably Americanized his name.
It's Leonard, probably. Leonard. I don't know.
Nobody says it like that.
I don't know. That's why I said Leonard.
Ever met anybody who says, "Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Leonard"?
Well, you said Leonardo.
I would immediately turn around and walk away.
You said Leonardo.
He probably Americanized
I said Leonard.
it.
Well, he probably didn't. America probably Americanized it for him.
Yeah.
All 3 were brought to a local jail to be questioned. Between them, the 3 men had $50 in cash and $20 in gold pieces, which was a combined...
It's quite the haul back in 1875.
Today, that's exactly $1,948.64. Since this was a hefty amount, and Sheriff Cook assumed robbery to be the motive for the killings, Officer Smith guessed that the money had been stolen from the victims.
Because, obviously Italian people don't work hard and can't save their money and buy things, but...
Well... Yes, it's bad to assume, but what buttressed this theory was the fact that Campagna and Alessandri were still wearing blood-stained undershirts. Bellotti wasn't wearing any bloody clothing, but don't worry, bloody clothing that belonged to him was found in a back room of the bar.
Oh, geez, okay.
So he changed, he just didn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Alessandri confessed that on the day of the murders, Friday, October 15th, a full 5 days before the bodies were found... Now, I don't know if I believe this detail.
Yeah.
He played the harp while 5 other men killed the victims.
It wasn't the accordion?
No.
If he said the accordion, I'd be like, Mike, don't
or
listen.
Or if it was an organ grinder.
Let's give away a little monkey in a hat.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
He's just...
If these guys are like butchers, they're going to have a little blood on the old wife beater. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no DNA. Prove it.
Where's he getting the harp?
Prove it. There's no DNA. This could be cow blood for all you know.
It's true.
Prove it. It's 1875, bitch.
Deal with it. Where's the harp coming from?
Where does one acquire a harp, Michael?
I don't know, but they're huge.
They are massive.
He's just dragging it around to crime scenes?
Maybe it's a mini harp. You see those little harps that angels in...
Isn't that a lyre?
Is it?
No.
No, a lyre is like a little...
No, that's a lute.
I'll look it up
Any
right now.
musicians?
I'm going to look it up.
Any not metal
What
musicians
is a lyre?
that would know?
Lyre. Let's find out. It's a tiny harp. You're right.
So there you go. So
okay.
That must have been the one.
Maybe they looked at it and they went, that looks like a harp. I don't know what people sound like in Denver. I don't know. Super white. That looks like possibly a harp. And they're like, no, it's a fucking lyre, you stupid. You think I'm dragging a harp around on my back? Come on.
He recounted that around noon, Uncle Joe and the older son were killed first. The younger son and cousin were out playing at the time.
Cougine.
About an hour later, the two boys came back home and the killers cut both their throats.
Well, that's not my preferred way to go.
No. Alessandri said the killers then dragged the bodies to the basement where they were eventually found and took $1,000 in cash and gold pieces from the bodies. The equivalent of $26,572.36.
Heyo.
This was all great information, but only 3 bandittis were found in Trinidad, and Alessandri confessed that there were 6 killers. Smith.
Alessandri should keep his fucking mouth shut. You ever heard of a little word called the omerta? Maybe just shut the fuck up.
Don't want to be a rat. Smith and Force decided to expand their search to New Mexico to hunt down the other 3. This is where it gets a little crazy.
This is where it gets
This
crazy.
is where it gets maybe a little even Canadian.
Oh.
The 2 cops decided to get tricksy with these last few suspects. Smith put on his fanciest gentleman's suit and started telling people he was a wealthy sheep king from New Mexico.
Okay.
And this is where it gets a little racist. Force, who had slightly darker skin but was still a white guy, put on the clothes of a day laborer and started asking anyone he could find about the Italians, claiming they were his partners.
He tried to fit in.
Yep.
He tried to pretend he was Italian.
He tried.
A lot of people like to pretend that they're Italian, Mike, you know?
In early November, the pair tracked the rest of the suspects to Taos, New Mexico, after hearing about a gun purchase that involved gold pieces. Don't use gold to buy things.
Well, in 1875, weren't people trading in gold and using that to pay for stuff?
Yeah.
Wasn't the gold... What? I am terrible at history, but wasn't the gold rush in the 1800s?
1849.
Okay. So people are using fucking gold as currency. What the hell?
Breaking up the set... Well, they heard about, Italians doing it.
Well, okay. So white people can buy shit with gold.
Yeah.
But us I'm also very pale because my father, who comes from Italy, was not super, super southern. He was kind of in the mid. So I'm slightly more pale than, let's say, some of my contemporaries. So anybody with a slightly olive complexion...
Yeah. Can't be trusted.
Definitely can't be buying things with gold they must have stolen.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Breaking up the sale, Smith and Force arrested Filomeno Galati and John Arati. Arati told them to head north to Red River, where they found the last suspect, Henry Fernandez.
Wait, his name is Johnny Arati?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Or, if you want to pronounce it, Arratti.
Arati, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you remember that show? Oh, my God. It was on, I think, Nickelodeon. And it was it looked like characters, but they were made out of paper face. Oh, what the hell was it? And it was an Italian kid on there. His name was Johnny Abati. Oh my God, what was that show? It was a show called Angela Anaconda. And one of the characters was Johnny Abati, and his he used to go to his grandma. He'd be like, "Hey, my nonna's making his pasta or whatever." But that name, at first I thought you said Johnny Abati, and I was like, wait a minute, did they pull this name from this story?
And that show single-handedly solved Italian racism. He invited him over for a
meal.
cannoli. Yeah.
And you sit down and you break bread, and then that's it.
That's it. Squashed everything.
Everything squashed. Well, we never forgot.
So, Arati told police to go north to Red River, where the last suspect was located, Henry Fernandez.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa. This guy was like, hey, my name is Henry Fernando.
Slightly darker skin.
I'm a slightly darker skin, and obviously
Must be Italian.
we run in the same circles.
Yeah. Everyone was brought back to Denver, and 3 more Banditti members, but these ones weren't really implicated in the murders, were taken in. Leonard Diodato, Frank Valandre, and a guy known simply as the Ranchman.
I want to be just known by a nickname, and I don't want to tell anybody my name, and I just want to go by a nickname.
The murder trial.
Oh, I actually do that.
Yeah, very specifically.
Wait a minute.
Very specifically.
I have a whole other persona called Lola Rock and Rolla. What am I talking about right now? Oh my God.
Follow her on Instagram.
On Instagram at Lola Rock and Rolla. I literally just said, I wish I... What a dumb.
The murder trial started in May 1876, but all 9 Banditti members pled guilty so they could avoid the death penalty. Mm-hmm. Arati and Alessandri turned state's evidence and were only sentenced to 10 years.
Well, not the best move.
Well, they were the ones that were cooperating kind of right from being arrested.
I know, but...
It's not a good look.
Not a good look.
Not a good look in the community.
Thank you for saying it like that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Galati and Bellotti and Frankie Valandre were all given life. The rest...
Frankie Bagadona.
Campagna, Diodato, the Ranchman, and Fernandez.
Yeah. What a ragtag bunch of misfits, Mike.
They were just set free.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Even after the guilty plea.
They pieced out. They were like, peace, and they left.
They pled guilty. All 9 pled guilty.
Yeah.
But
how come
these
they...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were just set free. No, 4. These 4 were just told to go. I can't find any information as to why that was allowed to happen.
Maybe are they lower down the chain, so they really wanted to get like the kind of head guys, and
I don't know if you have a guy with just a nickname.
I mean, if he's
he's got to be pretty close to the top.
His name is what's your name? The henchman, the butcher. You're like, oh,
yeah,
and then you're like, oh yeah, he owns a butchery, and they're like, sure.
Like the hitman, the Iceman.
Yeah.
I want to talk to that guy.
The Iceman.
Yeah.
No, I run a cooling and heating business.
Oh. Okay.
So they just call me the Iceman.
So your partner's the Flame? You're the Iceman and he's the Flame?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, we don't call each other that, but yeah. Well,
I mean, you're calling yourself the Iceman right now.
Public.
I wish there was more information about this case out there. This didn't exactly do anything to help the ethnic tensions in the area. The Colorado Weekly Chieftain sharply criticized the sentences, stating that if people knew they could escape execution just by pleading guilty, that would spell the end of capital punishment.
Can you imagine? It's like, hey, I killed like a shitload of people, but I'm just going to admit to it, and they're going to set me free because I was so honest.
Yeah. Colorado actually has kind of a storied history with the death penalty. Sometimes it's legal, sometimes it's not, and stuff like this keeps popping up
Currently, I would imagine it's not legal in Colorado because they seem very liberal down there.
I believe in 2020 they took it away again.
I went to Colorado once.
You did?
Once. Johnny Dangerously. I did. I went to the Telluride Film Festival by myself.
Yeah,
and Telluride is a beautiful little town nestled at the base of a bunch of mountains, Michael. And boy, oh boy, I could not breathe. No. My asthma was no good because the air is so thin there.
You are up there.
And also, it's so weird, but if you drink half a beer or something in that atmosphere, I was tanked. Half a beer.
No
it was
oxygen.
the weirdest. Yeah. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, how does anybody make money around here at the bar? People taking 2 sips are like, bleh. I guess it was just me, but everybody else seemed to be doing just fine.
They got the tolerance.
Yeah. We should go to Telluride Film Festival again. Well, I would go again. You would go for the first time. That'd be fucking dope.
Yeah.
Fucking dope.
Yeah.
Let's start saving now. It's only an $8,000 trip. It's fine.
Yeah. So, Telluride 2050. We're coming.
You could wheel me around in a little wheelchair by that point. You'll have your walker. I'll have my chair.
Yeah, I'll just have the motorized scooter and
and then you just push me from
yeah. So the newspaper was worried that if this precedent was set, that the quote court of Judge Lynch would start to be convened more frequently. So they were just worried that if the state couldn't execute people, just mobs of people would start executing people.
Stop saying the word mobs. Mob. I know.
Unruly groups.
There you go.
Of ethnically ambiguous people.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
Would go ham.
Right. Would become a vigilante.
So Galati, Bellotti, and Volandre served out their life. Arati and Alessandri served out their 10. The rest, including the ranchmen, just lived out their lives. And that was the story of the Italian Banditti murders.
Presumably on a ranch somewhere? Cattle
Probably
ranch?
Not. Probably
not. What kind of ranch are we talking about here?
He probably just
the
wore a
ranchman.
hat.
I wonder if he just owned a large tract of land that he called, quote, the ranch.
Come to my large tract of land.
And if you went there, it could be like a little lake meat situation going on. They were like, oh, you got a body. Yeah, called a ranchman. Although, that's foolish because the
pigs.
mafia doesn't exist.
Maybe he had pigs.
Maybe it was a pig ranch.
Yeah.
And as we all know, Michael,
pigs are great, wonderful animals who've never eaten a human corpse ever.
Ever.
No. It's just not a thing that happens.
It's not a thing.
No.
Come on. Well, being of Italian descent,
I'll even the scales.
I find this story offensive, Michael.
I'll even the scales next time.
I want to hear about, you better come up with some story about Meyer Lansky, some Bugsy Siegel. I want to hear something. How dare you? Yeah. How dare you, sir?
I will even it all out next time. But I was looking for ones in Italy to do, and nothing was really coming up. And I was trying to place it a little further back, so
and then you were like,
let
me search Trinidad, Colorado.
Yeah.
Which I've never heard of in my life.
Neither did I. I really assumed that it was, they just suddenly found themselves.
You're like, you guys went to like Trinidad and Tobago and just took like a vacay? Like, what's going on?
But no.
They were like, we went down to the Sandals resorts and just fucking went nuts.
Yeah, but I refined the search to be older because I didn't want to just get flooded with Amanda Knox stuff.
Yeah.
Because we've had enough of that.
Story. Let's not even.
We've had enough of that.
Yeah.
So
plenty.
But ironically, instead of ending up in Italy, I ended up in Colorado for this one. But I'm still on the lookout. Try to do some more international things.
Yeah.
But this one struck my fancy.
So to speak. Struck my fancy chord on the hop. The hop. Also known as a harp.
Or a lyre.
But with my Rhode Island accent, it's a hop. You know? Not an HOP.
Hey, you want to hit the bar tonight? I can. I got my hop lessons.
I can. I got my hop in the car. Stupid.
Well, that will wrap us up for another episode.
Wrap it up, guys. And follow us, as always, on our socials on Instagram and Twitter at MAF Podcast Show. Send us an email. Michael loves to read them to me at mafpodcastshow@gmail.com.
And check out the YouTube page. Our first video episode 27, the story of John List, is up there. It is also on Spotify, but looking at our metrics, we know the majority of you actually listen on Apple Podcasts.
Right.
So if you do want to see that as a video episode without having to deal with Spotify, you can jump over to our YouTube channel, Murder Amongst Friends podcast.
Yes, where you'll get to see our beautiful faces, our bella face.
Or at least Joanne's. And then also me.
Okay, Strutz. Well, Michael, with that, I bid you...
Ciao.
Adios. Arrivederci.
Oh, there we go. I was going to say, you guys go with adios?
Arrivederci.
Au revoir.
And everybody out there, piano piano è stata buon. Goodbye.
Goodbye.